Hello, my name is Zachary Wagner, and I'll be talking about AppArmor and HTTPS. This is for Kennesaw State University, our ISA class for System Security II. So first I'm going to be talking about sort of what AppArmor is and that it's it's a Linux software that helps secure your processes and programs on Linux. And then I'll go into sort of what HTTPS is and how that all works together. So AppArmor is a mandatory access control security system, which pretty much means it's a security method that allows the developer to restrict the ability of a program or application to access or perform some sort of operation on a object or target like certain files or other programs. So for example, events, the PDF viewer for Ubuntu, if it has a vulnerability that's discovered um, and you accidentally open malicious PDF or a document and it took that application over, and let's say you're not aware of it, AppArmor would restrict sort of the damage that would occur because it would not allow it to access anything other than what the PDF viewer needs to access. So it just sort of limits, it doesn't prevent, but it limits the damage that's possible. So it does this by using profiles, which are just simple text files that allow and restrict the files and privileges an application or process is allowed to use. There's two types of rules used in profiles: path entries, which are or which detail which files an application can access in the system, and capability entries, which determine what privileges a confined process or a specific process is allowed to use. You can also sort of download different ones or copy different ones off the internet. It already has a standard already downloaded or set of profiles, but you can create your own. You can also download, like I said, off the internet or some pre-made profiles depending on what applications or programs you're running. So there's three different types of modes that AppArmor runs in. Disabled, which of course is just it not being used. It won't restrict any of your processes, which this really just isn't recommended for any business. And then there's complain mode, which will notify when a process is performing an unauthorized action, but it does not restrict that action from occurring. Um, and this is primarily used for testing and developing profiles, which is designed to see, okay, is this still allowing this application to run with this profile being on it, or is it blocking it? So that way you can, if you're especially if you're creating your own profile, you can sort of tweak it to see what works and what doesn't, and it just notifies you instead of just blocking it altogether. And then there's an enforcing mode, um, which any unauthorized action which is predetermined by your profiles are blocked and that they are logged so you can view them. This is the most restricted mode and is recommended for, of course, for pre-tested profiles, but also for anything in production, so like your production servers and etc. Next, we're going to be talking about HTTPS. Um, but to be able to talk about that, you sort of have to understand what HTTP is, which it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And it sort of defines how messages are formatted and transmitted over the web, and what actions web servers and browsers should take in response to different commands. So, like if you're typing a comment on Facebook and once you submit it, what it sort of defines how it's transmitted to get to the Facebook web server. Um, and HTTPS is practically the exact same as HTTP, um, but it adds the S, which stands for secure. And that means that all communications, and this is sort of what it does, is all communications between your browser and the website are encrypted. Um, so how is it more secure? I mean, we already mentioned that it was encrypted, but it's encrypted using a secure socket layer, which is sort of a standard security technology for establishing an encrypted link between your web server and a browser. Um, and with HTTP, anyone that is able to pick up that packet, so let's say they have a packet sniffer on your network, anyone that's able to pick that packet up, is able to understand sort of what's on it, what information is being traveled through there, and there's no real security there that anyone who has access to that packet is able to see what is on that packet. But with HTTPS, even if they have a packet sniffer and are somehow receiving your packets and stealing your packets, they are not able to sort of view what it is because it's encrypted. They're not able to tell what data is on them or who it's going to and from, which is huge from a security standpoint. And I know Google is one of the main companies sort of pushing this HTTPS. I think they're claiming almost 62% of all of their websites um, are currently using HTTPS, which they quoted back in 2016 that only 46% was using HTTPS. So it's a huge jump up within a year's time. And you can also tell whether you're on HTTPS or not based at the on the in the URL bar. It'll show HTTPS, and typically it'll show a little lock symbol. This concludes this presentation. These are some of my work cited. Feel free to pause to be able to look at them. One more page here. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next time.